Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Week 21 preview video. Some important news coming to this week already been shared, so got some stuff to talk about in this video and looking forward to sharing it. So please like and subscribe if you've been liking the content so far, which would really help me out with my channel. And without further ado, we'll get right into it. And I have not made my transfer this week. I think I know what I'm going to be doing, but nothing's official yet, and I'm going to be waiting probably till later tonight to see if we get something similar to what happened last game week, which was 4 games being postponed, which made 8 teams that wouldn't have matchups that week. Okay, so what's interesting is a lot of the matchups this week are between 2 teams that didn't match up last week, so teams wouldn't have really been in contact with teams that were playing last week. So a lot of teams that played in the last match week should still be playing this week is what I'm trying to say, and maybe some others, hopefully. But we do already have one postponement, and that is between Cagliari and Bologna. So those 2 teams will not be playing this game week. Both were teams that didn't play. Actually, no, Cagliari played last game week, if I remember correctly. But Bologna did ask for both of their next fixtures to be postponed, and that seems to have been holding true. So that game is off. So as of right now, we do have a blank game week of 9 games currently. Another thing that looks like it changed in the schedule is this Fiorentina versus Torino game was slated at 8:30 on Sunday, and now it's been moved to Monday. So I don't know if that's like they need an extra day to see if players test negative and that game might be postponed, or if they're just moving it based on other fixtures that are taking place. It just makes me a little cautious for my captaincy, which I'm planning on doing, which you can probably guess who it is, but we will get there. But anyway, so just to go through the team that we're going to start with Provedel in the net, as per usual. And Cambiasso in the defense. So honestly, out of this game, I'm really hoping for a 0-0 draw. It's never fun to try to bank on a 0-0 draw, but between these 2 teams, it could very well happen. And if not, hopefully Cambiasso like got some assists or goals, which he's very capable of, as we know. In the rest of the defense, we have Hisai, which not the greatest fixture against Inter, not expecting anything there. But he is one of the defenders that is able to play for me, as well as Ferrari against Empoli, who should be in there. His captain almost plays every game, and against Empoli, there's a very good chance of a clean sheet. Nothing for sure, obviously, with the way that Sassuolo's been playing, but there's a chance there. The reason that I have to have Hisai and Cambiasso in is, as you see, Mario Rui has already been ruled out. I guess he still has COVID. He's still either COVID positive or still not quarantined his proper amount of days, so he will be unavailable. And Karsdorp got a red card last game. He had 2 yellows, so he's serving a suspension this week against Juventus. And it's not like I really wanted to play him anyway for that game, so I guess it would have been nice to have Mario Rui against Sampdoria, but as far as we go, these 3 defenders need to start. No one will be subbing in for them if they don't play. Going into the midfield, Barella against Lazio is not great, could pay off, who knows. He's someone that I've kind of wanted to start moving on from for a while. There's just been bigger holes to fix in the team where I haven't really had time to, and as of right now, with games getting postponed all over the place, the biggest thing you need is players to be playing and getting points from them. You don't want to be taking blanks, and you want to try to minimize that as much as possible with spending as little points as possible. So just Barella, knowing that he's going to be in there is good enough for me right now. Assuming this Atalanta game goes forward, Udinese and Atalanta were both teams that missed last week, and I believe Udinese was also a team that wanted the next 2 games postponed. So that is very much a potential matchup that will get postponed. But as of right now, I have Paslic in. They're planning to play tomorrow. Nothing's been said about a postponement there. I'll be watching. But Paslic against Udinese, I'd say, is a good fixture. And both of the teams are rested, so I don't see why Paslic wouldn't start in that lineup. What gets a little awkward is Quadrado. Now, he's normally a starter. Facing Roma, it's not the greatest fixture, but he's been playing really good. But he did just play And I believe in between this fixture and their next Serie A fixture, Juve and Inter play in the Supercoppa. So again, same, I guess, issue with Barella here. I know that they've already asked for that game to be moved, so it doesn't look like they're that enthused to play anyway. I could see both teams playing more so substitutes. The trophies never really helped to be that prestigious from what I've understood. I obviously don't live in Italy, and being a Juventus fan, whether they win or lose Supercoppa, you want to win every game, you want to get titles. But as far as the titles that teams in Serie A participate in, I'd probably say that's the least prestigious, just like how the Community Shield and stuff like that in England is. So one game off for a trophy, kind of, just have another game in competition in there. So what I assume it would be Quadrato plays in this game, sits the following game, and then we'll play in the following fixture again next weekend. That's my prediction, but I need people that have games to be playing, and I hope that he starts against Roma. And then Berardi, who finally came through last week. That was awesome. He's got my vice captaincy right now. Sassuolo's playing Empoli. Both teams played last week, so I don't see why the Sassuolo game wouldn't carry forward. He might get my captain's armband, considering I'm going to be waiting to see what happens with this Fiorentina versus Torino match. I guess regardless, you can stay vice captain. Then if that game gets canceled, the captaincy will just go on to Berardi. So maybe I'll keep it like this. But against Empoli, I see a definite opportunity for some attacking returns for Berardi. Going up into the attack, we have Vlahovic, which Fiorentina is playing Torino. Like I said, with this moved fixture, I don't know if it's because there's pressure to have the game postponed or not, because we were slated to have all 10 games on Sunday and then 9 games after Cagliari and Bologna, and now we're seeing a moved fixture. So it's fine as of right now. I think based on what I was just talking about, I'll keep the captaincy on Vlahovic, as facing Torino is a good chance of getting goals and assists for Vlahovic, which he is obviously very capable of. I also have Immobile, who I will just never sit no matter against who they're facing. Coming off against that missed penalty is rough, and facing Inter will be tough, but I could bet on him to score against any team in the league, kind of like how you'd say Salah could score against any team in the league in the Premier League. And lastly, he's put in here right now, Scamacca. It does look like he's already seen his final game in a Sassuolo uniform, looking to get transferred to one of the bigger clubs in Serie A, I think, right now. And so despite being healthy, he will be being moved out. And that's who I think I'm going to be transferring out this week, which is frustrating because I have 3 players that definitely won't be seeing the field. But I think Scamacca is the one to go out, because Kandreva and Karsdorp should be back next week, whereas no matter how long I keep Scamacca for, he will not be playing again for this team. And if he goes to a bigger club like a Juve, like an Inter or something like that, I don't see him having a starting role in the squad when you have to compete with Morata, Dybala, or Lautaro Martinez. You got Dzeko and stuff like that in there, and Correa. So I don't see him getting much more time in Serie A this year, depending on what happens. If the transfer window passes and he doesn't get transferred at the end of the day, he might be a good option again. But it kind of sucks because the Sassuolo has the good fixtures right now, so I'd like him to be playing. And like I said, the rest of my bench will not see the field this week. So if I am making this transfer of Scamacca, I'm relying on everyone to play. Like last week, at kind of like the 11th hour, I did do a transfer that took 4 points away from me to bring in Immobile. Ended up being, I'd say, a good decision. I may be doing that again if more fixtures get told to be postponed. What is nice about the way that this is lined up, that maybe Torino Fiorentina might be a later call of postponement after the squads are locked, but we should know any postponements before the deadline, I'd say, unless they're canceling it like just mere hours before kickoff, which wouldn't be the craziest thing. But without further ado, we'll go to the transfer table and we'll talk about some options here. So part of me wanted to switch Mario Rui out for Here, let's just clear this here. Rui out for like a Di Lorenzo or something like that. But it's a very lateral move. I know it makes sense, but with Rui, it seems like he's been on COVID protocol for a while. I can't see him missing another fixture after this. So I wanted to keep him in there and just hope that he rides out. As well as Roma has good fixtures coming up. So obviously, because it's a double yellow, Karsdorp should only be gone the one game. Kendreva, I don't know if he'll be suspended longer than that. I was going to transfer him out again, but if he's back after one game, I mean, Scamacca is just done for sure. So at least I have a potential of getting these guys back. Whereas Scamacca, I don't see playing another game in a Sassuolo uniform and getting limited minutes if he's on a different team. So what my plan currently is, if I'm getting rid of Scamacca, I'm going to have to pick up a forward. It seems that Napoli has good fixtures coming up now that they finished playing Juve. So I'm planning on bringing in Dries Mertens, which will eat up a lot of the bank that I had created, but it's good being able to go from a player like Scamacca to Mertens. It seems like Osimhen, the facial fracture that he suffered, will still have him out for a couple more weeks. So I'm hoping that Mertens can be playing throughout most of the good, I think it's like 4 or 5 good fixtures that they have coming up. Napoli has Sampdoria, Bologna, Salernitana, and Venezia coming up. So hopefully Mertens will take the majority of that. He'd fit in well with my side. And hopefully none of his games get postponed. After this week, I'd hope to have Rui back. I know I'll have Karsdorp back, so I don't want to spend another 4 points. I'll have 11 players, hopefully no more red cards, and I might just take a chance this week. And then after getting some players back the next couple weeks, I think I might even have some options off the bench. But this seems to be my best play for this week. Let me know in the comments if you see something else that would more likely be done. But other than that, I see that this being my move. And then further on, I'd still like to be able to get, I'd still have to move players around, obviously. I might have to get rid of Mertens. I know Inter's run of fixtures is challenging coming up. I want to get rid of Barella. And there are some other players that I'm going to suggest that are actually, the suggested players are going to be more on the cheaper scale this week. So without further ado, let's get into that. The top 5 that I'd say bring into this week. Keep in mind, part of my considerations for this are also going to be how likely is that matchup going to be, because this is players to be brought in this week. So obviously I'm not going to suggest bringing in a Cagliari or Bologna player because they're not even playing this week. But number 1, I'd say I think this match is going to go forward. They would have just postponed it if they didn't think it was going to happen. So I'm going to say Vlahovic is number 1 on the list. And number 2 would be Berardi, getting into that good form again. Still some really good fixtures coming up. I'd say Berardi would be up there as number 2, but the rest are going to be different than what we're used to be hearing. Those are 2 players that I've kind of been fanboying for a while now. The next one, I'm going to stick with Sassuolo, and I'm going to say Defrel as a forward option. That gives you so much money to play with. He's only a 4.8 striker. He started where Scamacca has been playing, and I think until they find a replacement, Defrel will probably continue to play there because Raspadori played just behind him. I think either of these two, having either of them is a good decision, both very cheap players, and they seem like if I need to get rid of, if Osimhen comes back, I would probably switch down to one of these strikers because they're starting right now. And they have good potential playing beside Berardi and each other. So I would say Defrel is going to be my 3rd option. The next 2 come from Torino, which is kind of rare and don't normally speak towards them. But Torino's fixtures as of right now are going to be Fiorentina, then Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Udinese, Venezia. They will have Juve after that, which is a tougher match. Then they have Cagliari and Bologna after that. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the next fixtures, I'd say 7 of which are kind of tame. Maybe Fiorentina makes it 2 out of the 8 fixtures. So knowing that, I'd say number 4 would be Sanabria, fixes it up like a Defrel or a Raspadori, where he has been playing. Belotti's out. And he's been scoring a lot of goals this year. Notice he already has 50 fantasy points to his name, 5.5, another cheap option allowing you to use money elsewhere. And the last suggested player is going to be a midfielder from Torino, and it is Pobega. 4.6. Imagine having a 4.6 midfielder that's playing and is absolutely tearing up the Serie A season so far with 63 points. So again, right now you want players in that are playing, and if you can have cheap players in to spend money elsewhere, I'd absolutely recommend it. So going over, we have Vlahovic, Berardi, Defrel, Sanabria, and Pobega as our top 5 bring-ins this week. And other than that, I would say that that is all that needs to be covered this week. Maybe I'll quickly go over the homepage and go over the top week purchases. We got Mertens in there, so I probably missed the boat to get the price increase, but I will be acting on that tonight. Magnan for AC Milan, the goalkeeper. Chiesa scored a good goal over last week, so that's got to be why he's in there. Milinkovic-Savic, I'd almost think that he was going to be one. He had a great game, and he drew level. Lazio earned them the point, so that makes sense why he's there. Then we have Karsdorp and Kandreva being shipped out, both players that I have on red cards, so that makes sense. And Benucci, Çalhanoğlu, that suspension's carrying over. So these are a bunch of suspended players. These 3 are definitely suspended. I don't really know about Zapata and Benucci. That's probably because Zapata didn't play, being on Atalanta, and Benucci, I know I got rid of Benucci last week, and who knows, maybe it's just people listening to me, to my suggestions. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and like it. I'd really appreciate it, and that helps things grow. And I will see you in a couple days after this game week. Take care.